Welcome to Falcon Blues TV. Leeds 1, Everton 0, and quite possibly just the worst penalty decision I've ever seen from Chris Kavanagh, but I'll come to that in just a minute. Obviously, loads of changes due to injuries, particularly to the back four. No Michalenko, no Jared Branthwaite, no Asnu for some reason, which meant James Garner's had to deputise at left back. Jake O'Brien moved over to the right, Michael Keane at centre back. And to be fair, James Garner got hung out to dry in that first half, but in the end, it was, a very threadbare Everton side, but you'd have thought they'd have had enough to actually try and compete with Leeds. Leeds there were a much better side in that first half. We were absolutely awful, and I mean, stunk. You'd have thought we were the championship side that would just come up. Leeds were quick, they were harrying, they were solid in the tackle, they were winning balls, they were passing it round well. Fair play to them. I mean, they had a lot of shots on goal, but very little on target. Thankfully, we went into the first half 0-0. But, all pretty much Leeds in that first half. Very little from our midfield. Garner Gay, Keenan Dewsbury Hall didn't offer as much. Ilman and Dye was nullified a fair bit. Just not acceptable. Do you know what I mean? If that was a Dice side, you'd be screaming for him to be gone at this point, because that's how bad it was. There was just nothing in that first 45 that made us look like we were going to attack. Beto strolling round. I think he had the driest shirt of the 90 minutes out of anyone, and this is a shirt that's terrible quality and will, suck the sweat out of you. But no, it just didn't. Just not even for a side that was short on personnel. It was very, very, very poor. 67% possession for Leeds, and they utilised it quite well. I think another team probably puts 3 or 4 past Everton, but we nullified it very well. But again, it was just so poor. If Moyes wants to send a message out to the board that he needs players, can he do it when we're not playing? Can he stop waiting until the opening day of the season and just get things done? I had this rant last week or the other week after we played in the friendlies. What are you waiting for? Okay, it's going to be money, it's going to be Europe and things, that and the other. But if teams are just making 3 signings in 3 days and we're taking 5 days to sign Jack Grealish on loan, we've got to be faster. The next 2 weeks are going to be absolutely crucial. We've got our first game with Hill Dickinson on Sunday against Brighton. Brighton will be made up with that tonight if they come at us the same way Leeds did in that first half. But anyway, second half he made no changes again. Didder and Dave, you're half expecting something to be changed. You'd have thought maybe a midfield change, maybe taking James Garner out of the firing line and putting in someone who's actually got a left foot, like, I don't know, Dwight McNeil. Play him at left wing back if you need to, or even just switch Garner over to give O'Brien a bit more support with Nonto, who just kept running at him all game. I think everyone breathed a sigh of relief when Nonto went off, to be fair, because he just kept running at us. Him and Dan James, the pair of them, throwing balls into the box and just causing mayhem. And you just thought that why are we waiting so long to make these changes? And our first real threat from Dewsbury Hall, I think, was on about 55 minutes or something like that, ended up with us getting legged. Tarkowski's getting legged at right back by Nonto when Jake O'Brien's in the middle of nowhere. Alcaraz trying to, I don't know whether he was trying too hard, but no one else was trying to get up to any kind of level with him. And, he got a yellow card for waving an imaginary yellow card, and he'll probably be the only one in the league that will get that. Slightly better. Grealish comes on around about 70 minutes. Still, we need to be more disciplined in midfield and allow us to be more creative. Ilman and Dye nullified pretty much again. Couple of little neat tricks and turns, but if no one else is on his wavelength, then there's nothing. The second half was pretty poor from both sides, really. I think Everton stepped it up a little bit defensively and offensively. We tried to move the ball a little bit better than we did in the first half. Anything was an improvement, to be fair. We got our first corner on 75 minutes, which shows you how poor the game was in general. you know, and we finally got someone who can put a cross in Dewsbury Hall. 82 minutes, and then, you know, the penalty decision comes from Alcaraz losing the ball in midfield, gets played around in the box a little bit, a couple of shots go in. Gay does this weird fancy trick and tries to backheel it backwards somewhere, and it falls for someone who takes a shot. Tarkowski's arms are behind his back. I don't know what he's meant to do. Where is he meant to put his arms? You know, he obviously they're going to be giving it because of the way he's fell towards the ball, but his arms are literally there. I was like, what's he meant to do? Disappear? What is he meant to remove his arms? It was a poor decision that it probably wouldn't be given any other time. But it's Chris Kavanagh, and he's a twat of a referee anyway. But if Tarkowski is standing there going, pointing at your arm, mate, you're just giving him ammunition. Just walk away and wait for the decision. Don't stand there going, it hit me here, it hit me here. It's like, mate, okay, if it hit you there, then it's handball. Do you know what I mean? It was just again, you know, the frustrating things that Everton are doing. 85 minutes, Moyes decides to bring on two strikers, and then because we got two strikers on, we go back to playing the ball short, out from the goalkeeper. So Barry gets nothing, and, you know, he comes on for Alcaraz, who was poor, probably not a starter, but we've got no alternative at the moment. So they put the penalty away, and then they had 7 extra minutes of doing stuff where, you know, we tried to throw the kitchen sink at it after we'd scored. Imagine if we'd have tried to do that in the first half or earlier in the second half. We do it every time. We go under, and then all of a sudden we wake up, and that's got to stop. And, you know, that goes back to exactly what I was saying. The way we played there, if that was a Dyche side, you'd be screaming for Dyche to be walking. Moyes has got to look at himself today, because that's one on him. It's a poor decisions, poor team selection through a lack of personnel, poor planning. Leeds were up for it, and I completely understand why Leeds would be up for it, because it's the first day back in the Premier League. We should have been onto that. We should have been playing the game and not the occasion. Leeds have gone and played both, and, you know, to their success, they've got 3 points and come away with a 1-0. And I think, like I said just before, any other time we probably could have gone 2 or 3 down. We, you know, if we hadn't had our wits about us, and we probably easily could have been by half time. But that's it. We go on to Brighton on Sunday, and things have got to change. You know, hopefully Michalenko is fit. Hopefully Adam Asnou is even available. I don't know what the hell happened. You know, if he's trying to force Dwight McNeil out, you know, job done. But he could have easily put him in at left back there today and give us some stability with someone who actually has a left foot. Okay, his right foot's for standing on, but he's playing on the left side of the pitch and not allowing a right-footed player to play at left back. Just poor all around, and I think credit to Leeds that first half. Like I said, they could have been out of sight. Second half, we stepped it up a little bit, and we probably nullified a bit more of them. And Leeds got the win, you know what I mean? Even if there wasn't the penalty and it had finished 0-0, you probably could have gone and said Everton probably didn't deserve to draw as well for the way we played. It was just poor all round, and there are notable changes that need to be made, and you can see it. Hopefully Moyes has just given everyone a rocket up the arse, because things need to change by Sunday. So anyway, I'm going to bed because I've got a headache just from watching that shower of shite. So let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to the channel. Unfortunately, Paul is going to be coming back from Ellen Road, so there'll be probably a video from him as well, and I feel sorry for him and all the travelling fans, because they've just been subjected to that, and it doesn't feel like anything new. So anyway, bring on Sunday, up the fucking toffees, Colin Chong. See you in a bit.